Hello and welcome to Bandy, a podcast about being flexible in all of the ways that means. Thanks for joining us. My name is Andy Young, and I'm one of your youthful, stupid hosts. Joining me as always is our other youthful and stupid host, Beth Martin. Beth, the pleasure as always. What's the crack?
Yeah, youthful and stupid.
I did not. No, I did not work too hard on them this
No,
week, but also
okay.
they were the funniest options as
I
far as I was
like it.
concerned, right?
I like it. I like it. So I'm it's we have spring break for the
Uh,
kids next week. Do you guys get that? Like a break in the
Not
spring?
really, but I
Okay.
think people have an awareness of what it is in this country. Um, like we have, I guess, Easter holidays. No, we have like a half-term break, which would be the closest thing to it.
Okay. So we are going to Los Angeles,
Nice.
not to go to Disneyland or Universal or any of those things, but to just like experience LA.
Hmm.
So uh like Santa Monica. We're gonna stay in Santa Monica. Gonna go to the Santa Monica Pier where
Yeah.
I saw Zoe Saldana last time we were
Ooh.
there. I know, right? Um, and her husband and her kids. And I remember when she was giving her Oscar speech, she was like, "And my husband, like, I love your hair." And I was like, "That's all she has to say about her man." Anyways, uh
True love. True
true
love.
love. Yes, great hair. Uh, so there's a bar there called the Galley that I think I've mentioned to you, where it's like it's a staple. It's been there forever, and they've got like probably a billion Christmas lights on the ceiling, and it's like old maritime environment.
Mhm.
But like I I I was like, did they burn down or not? And so I went to their Instagram page and they're fine. But like there was a photo of like the guy that runs the galley and Matt Damon and Chris Hemsworth. And I'm like, okay, like I'm making good choices in terms of where I go. Or we're gonna go to Hollywood. We're gonna
Hmm.
go to the Getty. We're gonna go to the LACMA, which is the museum.
Yes, the Academy Museum. Yeah,
And
ruled.
yes,
I was
yes.
there 2 years ago. I
Were
loved it.
you? Did you do
Hmm.
it? Okay, so I'm gonna do that. Uh, and typically like my favorite place is Venice because not
Yes.
because of Barbie, but because
I mean,
there's this restaurant that it has this really great fries and like aioli dips
hell
that
yeah.
are so good.
Okay.
So I'm excited.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
It's
loved
it's
the
weird though, like
uh-huh.
look at because we're getting an Airbnb and there's like this entire area where obviously there's no rentals available because the houses don't exist anymore. So
Wild.
crazy, right?
Like, yeah. I mean, I think, LA has I come back around to LA. I remember going there years ago and finding it to be a bit kind of grim and anonymous,
Hmm.
but there's lots of fun stuff there. I last time I was there, I went hiking around. There's some trails around Griffith Observatory that were
Hmm.
really cool. And I really did enjoy the Academy Museum. Do you know anything about what's in there?
No, I
Okay.
just remember like Spielberg and like all the directors being like, we need to build an Academy
Yes.
Museum and like
I
keep all the things.
I won't say them because there's a few things in particular I think you'll love.
No, tell
But
me, I want to know.
no, do you?
Yeah.
Okay, so you know that Bruce the shark from Jaws is hanging up in the foyer?
No way, really?
And
Okay.
there is lots of other great stuff.
I need to go. This
Yeah,
is my
you
jam then.
whenever I was there, there was because they have a rotating exhibition on the top floor, and it was like Ghibli um exhibition, and it was fantastic. It
Okay.
was so cool, and you weren't allowed to take photos in there because it's Ghibli. It was just absolutely fantastic. I loved that. I mean, it was a fantastic exhibit anyway. It was so fascinating, and they have such incredibly cool stuff in there. For any movie nerds, which you both are, but
Yes.
the Ghibli thing was just fantastic. It was such a lovely day. It really was.
Yeah, I love visiting LA. And like we had talked about moving there when we were like, let's move to Southern California, but I just couldn't handle. Have you seen the SNL skit, The Californians?
Yes.
Okay. Like I couldn't handle that.
Hmm.
So the skit is basically them. It's a soap opera, but all they do is kind of talk about which way that they got somewhere or which way they're going on which freeways.
Yes, yes.
Like,
Yeah, the Santa Dina,
I
the
can't believe you
105.
slept with him, but
Yeah,
and I know which apartment because you take the 5 to the 8,
yeah,
and we're the Californians, and it's kind of I couldn't the driving like, and
yes,
now I live in the middle of nowhere. I get all the benefits of like the sun, without having to deal with the traffic. But it's
yes.
also like so fun to visit. There's always something happening. I love Hollywood Boulevard. I love
Hmm.
like, just like all of the old historical stuff and like Sunset Boulevard, Chateau Marmont,
Yeah,
all those. So
yeah, that'll be class. Yeah, I'm
yeah.
excited for you. That'll
Mhm,
be great.
mhm, mhm.
Um, so I have been over the past while teaching a lot of yoga. Um, it's one of these times like I keep saying yes to like covering classes and stuff like that recently just because it's money.
Yeah.
And like I find myself really kind of busy and like it's been quite nice because you get to like expose yourself to different students and things like that. Like I've been making myself promote my Instagram handle. It makes me gonna like blow my brains out.
You're
But
like,
like,
follow me at.
follow me. Do you like dogs? Do you like yoga? I mean, like I don't even do that. I'm just kind of like like, not looking at
like,
anybody. Hey guys, if
like
you
and
want to,
subscribe.
yeah, you don't know where like I what my class I'm teaching. Please follow me on Instagram and like looking at my feet as I'm doing it. But I don't care. Whatever. Like it's fine. Thank you. Bye.
You know
Yeah.
what you could do? Is get one of those like little
Oh yeah, like I don't exactly we standees with
yeah,
my
a,
a QR
a
code or whatever
stand
on it.
with your, yeah, and you can just have your handle and
That's
your
true.
QR code,
That I
and
should
then
do
you
that.
and just be like, hey, if anybody's interested, I keep all my schedule up on, and there it is.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. That's a good point, actually. Yeah. Yeah, no, I should do that actually. Like I fucking hate it. As you know, I hate having Instagram.
I know. It goes against all things,
I
right?
hate promoting myself, all of these things. It's an absolute
But you are
nightmare.
doing it, and every time I see a dog Andy pop up, I get excited, and
Hmm.
there's a dog or a schedule, and then I think I am proud of him.
Thank you. I
You're
appreciate it.
welcome. You're welcome. It's hard to
Um,
put yourself out there
it really is.
because I know this because I don't do it at all.
I do it begrudgingly. I do it because that's how the system works. I like I'm also one of the reasons I'm doing it as well is I'm trying to like maybe figure out more classes in the long run.
Mhm.
I think I've talked to you about this before, but there are certain things that are winding down this year. I'm going to stop the pet therapy at the end of the school year,
Mhm.
and so on and so forth. So I'm just looking for things to fill the kind of gap in that regard. So we'll see. I mean, like if I could get a handful more private classes, I would be set up completely. So we'll just kind of see what happens. But like I mean,
Put it out there.
yeah,
That's
this
what
is
you
it.
need. Do you
Uh,
advertise that on your Instagram page?
the what's that?
The
The
private classes?
no, I don't. Like I, that's a good point. That's something that I probably should do. Like if like do a wee like if you're looking for a private yoga teacher, reach out to me. Blah blah blah.
Mhm.
You're right. I absolutely
You
should.
were a friend,
Yeah.
or if you
Yep.
want to buy a private session for a friend, gift
Yep.
certificate, I take those somehow.
Yeah, I can. Yeah,
I don't
just
know.
make out a check to Andy.
Right, right.
Um,
Just a thought, just a thought.
yeah, I know. I think that's a nice idea, actually. Yeah, and I think I should start doing that. Those sorts of things. So, like, I think that's increasingly the direction I want to go in. So that's
That's
something I've been thinking about
good.
recently. So yeah.
Yeah.
Um, the other thing that I've been doing, and it's not so much me doing it, is getting my bike fixed up.
Ooh.
So. My girlfriend's quite like she's like an accomplished cyclist. Like she's done loads of events and things like that, and she's good at bikes. So she has offered to like fix my bike up, and it's which is gonna be nice because I have dabbled with running over the past couple of years, and it's been nice, but it takes its toll on my back. I'm looking for like
Yeah.
something involving cardio that's not quite as
Yeah.
brutal, you know.
Yeah. It's like
So
a lot of pounding pressure, right?
yes, very
On
much
your
so.
spine.
Especially my lower back and with the arthritic
Yeah.
condition I have in my back, it is
Yeah.
very much, definitely the way to go. So yeah, I'm excited for that. So that's been something else I've been working on, or I've been working on. I've been observing
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
as it happens, you know. So yeah, so that I'm excited to, especially over the summer, to get back out on my bike and, do some big cycles.
I need a bike
Yeah, they're great.
because Harper is like riding it. Charlie's ready for one. Mike has one. I'm the only one that doesn't.
Do you like
Like I see,
cycling?
I do, I do. I don't like I grew up in a very hilly part of Oregon, and so like biking was not easy.
Yeah.
Like some of the hills, like you'd go up 500 feet in like 2 minutes kind of thing.
Yeah.
Um, but like here it's pretty flat. But we've got I don't know if I would do like like on like trail biking.
hmm
That's a little much for me, but like yeah, it's super easy to bike around here.
Yeah, like I think yeah, and I suppose
There's a lot of trail riding
yeah, that makes
because
a
we've
ton of
got
sense.
the green spaces behind our house and like
Yeah.
they're horse trails, but also people use them for
I suppose like
mountain biking.
certain times of the day would be too warm as well for it, so you'd be early
Yeah.
morning,
Yes.
early evening sort of
Yes.
thing. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. No, it's nice. It's
Like
fun to
when we
do.
went hiking, it was like, okay, like we got to get up there before it's 104 degrees
Crazy.
with no
Crazy.
food. I know.
We did it. We did it. We
We
kicked that.
did
We
it.
kicked. We kicked
As
that
far
mountain
as
hills
we did.
ass,
We
whatever it
did.
was.
And I look at it all the time and I'm like, there's Mount Woodson. We climbed that and I feel
Hell yeah.
accomplished. And I'll probably never do it again because
Hey,
I know better.
doesn't matter. You've been it now. I love it. Okay. Do you have any more crack?
Um, I don't think so.
Okay.
Mike's traveling a lot. He's
Uh-huh.
going to Maria next
Okay.
month, I
Nice.
think, for saving ocean research stuff.
Cool.
So, yeah,
That'll be awesome. Good.
yeah,
I'm glad to hear it.
yeah.
Okay. Do you have any what's occurring?
Not this week, no.
Okay. I have,
Oh,
and Andy's down with the streets. First time, long time, right? Because something, so one that I've heard a lot recently, and again, like all my favorite pieces of slang, hopelessly uncool by the time I come around to it.
yeah,
But right, that's my vibe, right? Hopelessly
right.
uncool. And so the word that I am loving at the minute, and I just heard it again recently, which is why it's in my head, is bussin. And so that word is spelled Bussin, and is a what's the wee thing? Oh wow, I completely forgot. It's like it just ends Boston and it's got that wee symbol
Oh,
beside the end.
it's not apostrophe.
Is that Boston thing?
I know what you're talking about.
Look at us, so smart.
What is bussin'? Okay, if I had to guess,
hmm
I would say bussin'. It's bussin'. Like it's cool.
Yeah, yes, it's like and I love the kind of like breakdown for these slang terms, which is like something that is exceptional, exciting, or
Mhm.
outstanding, which just strips any sort of like cool out of it, like
Right.
immediately. So yeah, but I just have very much enjoyed that term. There's something that like sounds a bit seedy about the term bussin', or like I don't know, naughty or something like that, which is why I quite like it.
Like this cake is bussin'
Yeah,
or
yeah, yeah, yeah,
that
yeah, yeah.
girl is
That
bussin'.
Girl's Boston is definitely a
Okay.
a seedier version of it. But I think
Okay.
I think both of those things could absolutely work.
hmm
But yeah, it's just one that makes me happy. And like all of the ones that like I'm drawn to and like stick in my head, I'm just like, oh, that's fun. That's fun to say as well. If it's fun to
Yeah.
say, like it's very high up on the list.
Yes.
But yeah, but that's just, and Andy's down with the streets for this week. First time in a while. Hope you enjoyed it. You can give me
Yes.
feedback on it, or you can tell me how I'm wrong and how I'm saying it, or whatever.
If you're already like
I'm
so out
already
of date that
exactly
that it
like
actually
whatever.
means riding a bus
Yeah. Hi
or
Andy,
bussing a table.
it's so true. Hi
Yeah.
Andy, 2003 call, they want their slang back. Um, Amazing. All right, okay. So, shall we go on to this week's topic, which is Advice for our 18-year-old selves. I was wondering whether we should update the title or think of a different title for that. I mean, I suppose that really explains it quite nicely.
Yeah, yeah, I wrote if I could tell my 18-year-old self stuff. Oh, I
That's the
think.
title. All right, I'm writing that down. If I could tell my
Okay.
18-year-old, yeah, like that's way better.
And I went into this like, because it's like everyone's like, oh well, everything happens for a reason, and like all the experiences that you went through like got you to where you are, and like I'm super happy about where I am, and I'm not saying that, but
Sure.
like I would go back and like assuming I'm still going to end up where I'm at, I would let I have some advices for my
Okay. Okay. Um,
and stuff.
like, yeah, you're right. You're right. Without causing any major ripples, but just stuff that
Right.
would maybe like calm the
We're not
mind or
exactly.
yeah, yeah,
We're
yeah, yeah.
not going to butterfly effect the shit. It's going to be like,
It's true. It's just,
yeah.
same sort of outcome, but happier
Huh?
and healthier along the way.
Exactly.
All right, do you want to kick us off?
Yes. So I kind of went chronologically. So
Okay.
okay, 18, I was in college,
Mhm.
freshman year, first time living alone. Um, had a pretty stable upbringing, very sheltered, didn't do a
Sure.
lot of partying. The drinking age in the United States is 21. I never did drugs. I maybe smoked 2 cigarettes, like
Uh-huh.
really uh giant nerd
And
who finally learned how I think maybe that was the year I learned how to pluck my eyebrows, but
okay.
anyways. So I think first of all, I should have. I think we've talked about this before, but I should have tried harder in school, in
I
college,
I
and
hear
like
you.
taken advantage of all of the shit that they offered.
Hmm.
Because after working at as a staff person and like putting on events for students, and I was like, God, like all this was available to me. I went, okay, I went to the Sugar Ray concert that came to the Coliseum at my college, right? But I didn't take advantage of the lectures or, the special guests that came.
Yeah.
I, got drunk at football games. So,
I mean, like, but I think those are important parts of life as well. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's important to kind of do those things.
mhm.
Um, like I was spending most of that time as you were talking there, trying to think of like who was in the charts at the time. Just it was like Beth's going to college.
Uh-huh.
Somebody is lighting up the charts. First friggin' band that came to mind were NSYNC. I don't know, it's a damning indictment.
Yeah. Do you remember Sugar Ray?
I do remember Sugar Ray, yes. Also Sugar Ray lighting up the charts.
I think it was like them and like I want to say that maybe Monster Magnet opened for
Oh,
them.
geez, really? Monster Magnet opening for
Yeah.
Sugar Ray? What a
It was
combo.
something, it was some weird combination like
Yeah,
that
that's a
where I
weird
was like,
combo.
these don't go together, but whatever.
No.
Yeah.
No, I like that a lot.
Mhm.
I give it to me again.
Uh, so mine was try harder in school. All you have to do is study and do the work.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I have such and it's interesting because I'm in schools and stuff these days, and I kind of hear the kids talking, and I'm kind of like, I don't know. I mean, there's definitely value to it. Don't get me wrong, and it will help you out, but I also kind of think that it is very much about like funneling you down a certain path,
Yeah.
and I have mixed feelings about that, about
Yeah.
the value of that or what outcome they're kind of expecting when they do that to you. But like, yeah, I still think there's absolutely value in having a good
What were
sort of
you what were you like at 18?
like a fucking nerd. Like, I mean, what's changed? I am like, um, I had, barely kissed any girls. I had,
Right. I think
um,
I had had one boyfriend by that point.
yeah, like. I kind of had a few things here and there, like, but nothing really
Yeah.
much.
No.
So I was like still like, loved comic books and video games and like
Uh,
wrestling,
uh,
and
no, nothing's changed.
nothing has changed now. And it was nice. Like, but like I still felt completely, you know, I felt completely unprepared for the world and what was going
Hmm.
on, what I was going to encounter,
Hmm.
and felt kind of like relatively innocent and naive about a lot of it. So again, not much has changed. But like I don't, part of me it feels like that was a good thing in a way. And I was kind of lucky to kind of be in that position.
Hmm.
It helps that you're a guy as well, so you can kind of avoid a lot of the kind of major trials and stuff that life throws at you. But yeah, very much so. Still kind of figuring stuff out. Um, but I think, I mean, it certainly happened near the end of like high school and stuff. I was like starting to figure out what my identity was.
Yeah.
And I think uni was really useful to me because it allowed me to, you know, I'm not in like a massive town, but a relatively small town I grew up in, and was very kind of like monocultural in terms of like there was a certain type of person that lived in that town that's sort of this, so like going to university and meeting people from all over, at least from my small country, was really
Yeah.
good for me and nice for
Yeah.
me.
Yeah. Did you live at home for part of it?
At least part of it. Yeah, like my
Hmm.
first year of uni I lived at home first.
Hmm.
Yeah, first year and a half, then I spent semester in North Carolina, and
Hmm.
then spent the my last year living in Belfast. I'm very glad that I did because it was a fun year.
Hmm. And you had all your roommates.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, the
Yeah.
other house was chaos. There was six of us in that house. It
Oh
was
my gosh. I think the
insane.
most I ever had, I think there was one year, yeah, where I had six people in the house and a raccoon that lived underneath.
I love it.
Okay. Another thing I would tell my 18-year-old self is stick with music and theater, even
Oh, I
though
love it.
I didn't end up doing anything with it, but I think it like set me up for success in other ways.
Yes.
Um, and taught me, hard work and,
Hmm.
that concept of it's like in a theater production, like you're never really ready for opening night,
Yeah.
but there's some magic that happens where the curtain lifts or someone walks out on stage and it all just falls into place.
Yeah.
And I like that as a metaphor for like my life.
That is
So
nice.
it takes some of the pressure off.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah, that's lovely way
Hmm.
I look at it. Like it's interesting because one of the ones I had written down here was um focus more on creative pursuits.
Yeah.
And like, because I remember, as a youngster, like writing in like our high school magazine and things like that, writing stories and things for it, and like that was always something I wanted to do. Um, like, and I really kind of wish that I had, I mean, like, and I think, it's never too late, and it's very much something that I've talked about on the podcast and with you is that like I really want to pursue that more now because it was always a dream of mine. And like, one of the things that I really want to do is make money from a creative pursuit. If that's something I could do, that would be huge. Like I don't care about the money side of it as much, but like what I more mean is that like it would be something viable that I could like, you know, do something with, I could live off, or that would be huge for me. So
I
like yeah,
think absolutely,
you know,
absolutely. I think it's like jobs need to happen, cars need to get fixed,
yeah.
teeth need to get cleaned,
Yeah.
but for I think it takes a certain person to I'm just like jealous of artists that get to do that, right? And that's like I showed the kids the Bobby Fingers video.
Yeah.
Everyone should go YouTube Bobby Fingers,
Yeah.
Jeff Bezos rowing boat
Yeah.
right now. But like that I was trying to show like both of them, the kids, like this is a job. This guy has a warehouse. This is what he does. He
Yes. I've
decides that he wants to take a hair out of his butt cheek and implant it on his head,
graphed at his
right?
head. I know it's insane. Like, I think that, like, I mean, and I think that, I think it's really sad, but like, I think that, like, it is a tough life, even if you are like nominally successful as an artist. It's hard graft.
Yeah.
It's not, you're not going to make millions from it unless you are one of the, chosen few,
Yeah.
Um,
I wonder sometimes if it's like people that come from affluent families or Afro are creative because I wonder if that creativity comes from being able
they
to
have the
spend the
space.
time. They have the space
Yeah, so
and
true.
the funding,
And the
right?
funding, which is very, very key. Like, and I mean, like, we live in I mean, and it's always been this way, but like, we live in an era where like funding for the arts is down, 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 or
Yeah.
virtually non-existent, which is, and it's
The,
such a shame.
yes.
Such a shame.
The kids have an art teacher that comes every 2 weeks.
No way.
Yeah. Like I remember doing art every day in school,
Yeah,
every 2 weeks.
that's wild to me.
I
That's
know. And
awful.
they're like, "Yay, we just got funding for this." And I'm like, "Oh my." So, you know,
Everything sucks.
I make up I make up the difference. And
Yeah.
I have a daughter who is like, I mean, I wish everyone could see what I see. I'm in her room right now, but
Hmm.
she's an artist
She
and
is.
it would benefit from, more instruction. So all I can do is show her TikTok videos of people drawing teeth. Anyways,
Our modern artists.
I know, right?
Love it.
I have one.
Hmm.
Credit cards are the devil.
Yeah, that is a good one.
I know. So, like, it was like my first day of college, and they had like little booths so you could go around, and like the banks of the town were there, and like, come to this credit union. And Capital One was like, you get a free t-shirt if you sign up for a credit card. And I was like, cool. Didn't know what it was like 13% interest meant.
Yeah,
And they
it's
gave
true.
me, an 18-year-old that didn't know how to balance a checkbook, a credit card with a $5,000 limit. I blew through that in a year.
Hell yeah.
I was like, Abercrombie and Fitch, here I
Yeah,
come.
treat yourself.
Like we would go
That
at like my roommate and I would go on like spending sprees where it was like buy as many clothes as fast as possible. It
I
was
think,
so
but it's just
stupid.
like you've got no idea. Like, I mean, it's one of the things that they, probably should teach in schools is like financial literacy,
Yes.
because like people just don't know. But like it's in the interests of companies that that information is not taught as well.
Yeah.
It's awful.
No.
Um, so yeah, no, I mean, like I think, I have always been like I don't know how. Like I know that my dad has like he's pretty good at like looking after his money and stuff like that, but he never kind of like gave me any instruction as
Hmm.
such. But I never spent beyond my means. Like I've never like I have debt in terms of like I've had cars obviously, and I've got a house now and things like that. But by and large, I've been really lucky in that I've never went kind of like too hard. Um, and I know I have other friends who went absolutely the other direction very, very easily, and then it's like that is hanging over you for years and years and
Yeah.
years.
Yeah. Yeah.
So very lucky in that regard, but
Yeah.
an excellent piece of advice, truly. Um, the one that I had written down was be kinder to yourself,
Hmm.
and a lesson that I still struggle to learn a lot of the time. There's a variety of reasons for that. Not all of them are
Was
entirely under my control.
right. Was there like a time where you remember like being kind to yourself, or has it been like literally like a lifelong?
Um, like I really think that whenever I feel like I was, as in innocent. I don't know if innocent's the right word, but I feel like, until like I'd say even my mid-teens, I was kind of like, which I think is late for some people, but I had like a fairly sort of sheltered, look view of the world, and I think I was just, more excited about indulging the things that meant something to me. But then like, once I started thinking more about what life was and like building relationships with people and like romance and all that stuff, and like how I felt hopelessly ill-equipped with all of that, it was, I feel like that's whenever I really began to be, less kind to myself, I think. So yeah, whenever I was a fairly young kid, I think I was kind to myself, but I think it's been all downhill from there, basically.
Hmm. Yeah, I would say like yeah, adult like once you start adding romance into things, then you really are looking at yourself like, what's wrong with me? That
Yeah,
this person doesn't feel the same way, and that's like, yeah, that's hard.
it
That's hard,
is.
and it's hard to undo. And or I don't, maybe there isn't ever undoing it.
I I I think yeah, it could be. I mean, it's still like a tough thing for me to navigate and all that sort of stuff. It is still something that I just don't fully understand. Again, I don't think this is anything that advice could maybe solve necessarily as much as it is just the nature of how my brain works. But like, I think there would be things, internal things I could have done that would have made life a little bit easier in all aspects, not just that.
Hmm. And it's like now you know to be kinder to yourself, but
Yeah.
it's taken a lifetime to sort of figure that
Yes.
out. Yeah.
And there are inbuilt mechanisms that are designed to not be kind to me.
Yeah.
So like I'm fighting that. And those things take the wheel sometimes as well. So it's
Yeah.
like, it's about finding that balance and the times that you can, quashing those down and, having a counter word for yourself.
Hmm. Yeah, I had written down something similar.
Mm.
Um, I said it's cool to keep going to raves.
Yes, I like it.
So I raved for, oh, really like a solid 3 years,
Yeah.
maybe more. And I guess Burning Man counts as a rave.
Yeah.
So it I didn't really know how to have fun
Hmm.
and like just dance and like learning to dance and like dancing by myself, and like dancing was, I never, it was like I didn't know how, right?
Yeah.
So I learned that from that experience. Um, I made some really good friends from that experience, and it kind of like, it was the first time where I was like, this is music I really enjoy. Like
Yes, I like it. Yeah.
all
No,
the uns. So
did you like? And that kind of makes me think about one of the ones I was thinking of, which was like take drugs earlier. You're fairly sensible. It's fine.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think I timed the drug taking like, well, my dad was like, whatever you want to do, like go to college and have at it, but like keep it simple when you're living in our house. And I
Mhm.
I totally was like fine. And then I went to college and lost my mind, and it was
Sure.
the best. It was awesome.
Like
And I had a similar realization where it's like, yeah, I'm pretty sensible.
I feel like because I tried weed pretty early on and I thought this was great and I preferred to drink
Mhm.
and so that was like a constant mainstay. But like in terms of like what else was offered, I probably could have got my hands on some ecstasy had I really pushed the boat out. But I didn't even like. I think it was my late 20s before I even tried any of that. And like I was my arm was twisted into like taking an E one night and I was like, this fucking rocks.
Mhm.
And then it's just been like, where appropriate, trying things
Yeah,
here and there.
yes.
But like I feel like as I say, I never like I mean, I do I have absolutely drank to excess on a number of occasions, but it tends to be a community thing. Like it tends to be a like, let's go, 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 go. Like, and the drinking culture in this country is wild in that regard.
Yeah.
And some amazing times as a result of those things, but also it was too much a lot of the time.
Mhm.
But like never with drugs, do you know what I mean? It was always kind of like, let's see how this works for me and let's go
Mhm.
from there. So
Mhm.
I never like went full tilt into anything.
I was always, yeah, I never got too far into anything. but I'm all about experiences and
Yeah.
trying new things, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
I think like I was like a lot more fearful as well. It's why I have thrown myself into things as I kind of gotten older. I was really fearful about life in the world and all sorts of things and what these things might do to me. And I think like shedding a lot of that has been really helpful for me in terms of like my growth.
I'd written down literally no one knows what they're doing, and like you don't have to have a big master plan.
That's so true. Yeah, that's a really good one. Like thinking that like I remember thinking when I was in school and even in university, I was like, this is fucking chaos. Nobody has a fucking clue what's going on. I can't wait until I'm an adult, I'm working in jobs, and it's all figured out there and everything runs smoothly. And then you get
Right.
the jobs and you're like, oh, none of
Mm,
these motherfuckers have a clue either. They're all
nope.
fucking, oh,
Everyone's just literally like flying by the seat of their
very
pants.
macho. And like, if anything, it's kind of slightly worse than school and things like that because there's money involved. So it like creates another other kind of vector of like bullshit. So yeah. Oh.
The
So
vector of bullshit.
vector of bullshit. And like that was one of the things that I was like that. And certainly I felt this when I would have been younger, but I still think I was in the throes of it at 18, which was this kind of rush to be an adult.
Yeah,
And like don't be in a rush to get there.
yeah.
Cause like, it is what it is. Like it's another sort of experience. I think that I was very negative on adulthood, certainly in my 20s and things like that. But now I'm kind of like it's like whatever. It's like a whole other set of responsibilities. There is like a whole different pressure on you. It's just, it's a lot, but you do have more freedoms, but also you have more restrictions.
Yeah, it's we talked to the kids about it. It's just like you guys are living the life. You're
Yeah.
living the life,
You don't know.
And Charlie's concept of like, you know, now he's decided he wants to live with us forever, but before he was like, I want to move back to Oregon and I want to get a house. And the first floor is going to be a ball pit, and the second floor is going to be full of marshmallows. And I was like, that's great,
I
right?
like I hope he
Yeah,
fulfills
I
his dream.
know, I know. But like that's awesome that that's where his mind is at. And I'm
Hmm.
like, thinking of all the realities of like life and like, no, like just enjoy that dream for as long as you can.
Absolutely. Um,
I
mhm.
Go ahead.
No, I was gonna wait. I was gonna ask you, you had another one.
I said I should have traveled abroad in college. I should have done that,
Yeah.
and I didn't.
Um,
And I think it would have, I didn't really like figure out that I could travel and go places until like I started like dating Mike really.
yeah.
And he was like, fly to LA this weekend. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
I'm like,
You
come
can't
down to
do
San
that. You
Diego.
can't just
I
do
like,
that.
I
Yeah.
know you can't just like get on an airplane and go wherever you want. Like,
Yeah.
right. And he was like, I'll buy your ticket. And I'm like, oh my God, I can't tell my parents. Right. So that, and like, you know, like within, like, yeah, he taught me a lot about the world.
Yeah.
But I also wish that like I had taken the time to do that myself
Yeah.
earlier on. And maybe I would have like gone to Greece, which I've still
Yeah.
never been to. So,
Like, you know, I think that it was such because like obviously I did my year or my semester in University of
mhm,
North Carolina and it was incredible
mhm,
and I'm so glad that I did. And like, I think it was the start of the idea of me throwing myself into things that were terrifying to me, like going
yeah,
away on this
yeah.
trip by myself for however amount of time was so scary to me, and I'm so glad that I did it. Like especially doing it by yourself because I had friends who would go and do summer camps. And like they would volunteer and they would come over from Ireland and they would do those things. And I really badly wanted to do that with them, but like it's a very different experience doing that with a group of friends that you already know versus, taking a swim by yourself.
Mhm.
And I was like, for like the year after that, like that summer after that, rather, I'd hoped to do that, but I find that the nature of my visa was I would essentially have to fly home and then fly back, and I'm like, I don't want to do that. I don't really want to like. I think now, if flights have been relatively inexpensive, or I had a thought about it and I was like, oh, maybe I could fly to Mexico for a bit, and or that sort of thing, I
Yep.
maybe would have, but then I was just like, yeah, I can't be doing that. Um. But yeah, it was very good for me, and it was the start of like me taking those big swings, like
Hmm.
teaching in Korea,
Hmm.
or yoga teacher training and things like that. Just kind of throwing myself into the deep end.
Yeah. Jealous.
Yeah, I am. I am. One of the things I'll give credit to past Andy for is that he was like, you need to build your confidence. Let's throw yourself into things that will force you to do that.
Ah, good
Uh,
job, little Andy.
yeah. Um, the other one that I had written, the other one here that I had, which was you're different, um, and that's okay. Like your brain's different, you don't maybe function like a lot of other people seem to, but that's okay.
I love that.
Yeah,
I love
because
that.
that took me a long time to like come to terms with, I guess.
Yeah. And I think even like since I've known you, that has been something that like you've been working to figure out for yourself.
Yeah,
And
very much so.
yeah, I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
I'm
I,
different too.
you are. You are. But
And
like,
that's okay.
but truly, all of the best people in my life, all the people I love have weird brains. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Like, and I love that. I love
Yes.
that like they'll just throw something at me and I can't possibly see it coming, or I love being around weird brains. They're the most interesting people to interact with, truly.
I could not I mean, you know, there are times where you have to go and stand in a room and have like the bland conversations, but like it's soul crushing and sucking. And it's like
Yep.
having, like we had friends over last night. Mike's like, so I actually had these friends over so we could put the hood of the car back on. And I'm like, okay. He's like, I'll get him a little tipsy first and then we'll do that. Right. I'm like,
I
I never know like what he's gonna say or do ever. And
love it.
it's it's pretty awesome.
So he's
I
he's
think
he's not telling them that before they turn
no,
up. No.
no, no. And he was gonna do it when you were here, but he wasn't quite ready
Okay,
right
okay,
yet.
okay.
So,
I'd happily help them with that.
yeah, totally.
Um, Sorry, go on.
I have another one.
Okay, go for
Don't marry that guy in your 20s.
it.
I don't know if
Hmm.
our listeners know this, but I was married before.
Yeah, true.
And it was just the worst idea ever. I was like 22 or 23. I was a baby.
Yeah, that is young to be getting married.
It was so young, and like it was more to like prove my parents wrong, right?
Hmm.
And he was
Hmm.
like the red flags were everywhere. There were like so many flags. It was like
You're
covered
just
in red flags. It
tossing
was
them across
just
the field. Yeah,
literally. And like I went through it thinking on that day, like, well, you can always get divorced.
I think I remember you telling me that exact thought. So
Ah,
incredible.
you can always get divorced. And it lasted like 3 years, but it was torture. It was awful. And like
Like,
just find your person, even if it takes, you know, being in your late 20s or 30s or 40s or 50s or 60s. Like
yes,
just
it might be
don't,
a long process. Yeah, yeah.
yes,
Don't like
don't settle.
and if something, yeah, don't settle in if something's not working out, also walk away from it. It's fine. It will ultimately be
Yes.
better for you in the long run.
Yes. And you
It,
can't change people
yes.
no matter how hard you want to.
Yep.
They have to change themselves.
Absolutely. Yes, exactly. Forcing change is just, yeah, completely ineffective.
Yeah.
Couldn't agree more with that one. Um, what else do I have? I've gone through most of mine actually. I feel like I'm. Do you have any others?
I
I
have a
had.
ton actually.
Okay, go for it.
Mine was start a spiritual journey with yoga.
Oh hell yeah.
Like if I
That
didn't
was.
like
That
if
was
think of the people that like think of the tools that we would have had
yeah.
available
Like,
in our 20s and
so
30s,
true.
right?
And I am excited, and I have friends who are, younger than me in their 20s and stuff like that who picked it up then, and I'm thrilled for them they did because I think
Yes.
it's a great time to
I'm just
adopt it.
jealous, but that's just how I
Yeah, I
operate.
know. But like I also have to say that certainly for me in my country, it just wasn't an option back then. The very thought of it was madness, you know. Like my journey through it was basically because I have, it's one of the reasons I'm grateful I've got my bad back, which was like I'm looking for a solution for this that isn't taking drugs.
Yeah,
And, I was like, oh, okay, this could work potentially. This is
yeah.
exciting. So yeah. So yeah,
And I think
it's
it would have helped me like process the grief over my dad.
yep,
But I literally had no tools. I had no tools. I had no belief in anything spiritual at all. I was just like, when you die, and that's it, the end of everything. And it was just like
yep.
the loneliest, awful place to be. And like, having those tools when I was really sick with long COVID, like that got me through the day and that
I
kept me alive and that kept me like that helped, getting kind of deep and sad here, but like it kept me from like, you know, uh
doing
deciding not to be here.
yes,
So
doing something drastic. Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely. And yeah, you're so right. I think like also like just generally, and something that you guys really made me think a lot more about is this idea of what spirituality is, which is something I very much had rejected, I think, by the time I was 18.
yeah,
And like, leaving yourself
same.
open to what that might look like in the future as well.
Yeah. So, and I remember some of the people that were at our yoga teacher training were on the younger side, and
Yeah,
like we had a teenager there, and I was like, think of what this person is going to be able to do.
so true.
We had two teenagers there,
We
and I
did.
was just like, think of how the support that they'll have internally within themselves, and
Yeah.
hopefully they feel like that. But um, I said keep in touch with friends from high school because
Oh,
I married someone that I went to high school with.
yeah.
But like really like keep in there are some people that I wish that I had stayed better friends with or
Yeah.
stayed friends with. And yeah.
I I have friends that I still know from like, when we talked about in a friendship episode, one of my good friends, like from like, that sort of like fell apart,
Hmm.
and I was kind of sad about it. But I feel like a lot of my like best friends I didn't make until I was in university, and I maybe had a better
Hmm.
idea of who I was and what I wanted from life. And some of them like 25 years strong going now,
Yeah.
some of those
Yeah.
friendships. And
Yeah.
like I do like, I mean, I think that then there are still people I am in touch with from high school, but they're not like my, you know, loved ones friend wise, they're not like in my inner circle, sort of like if
Hmm.
I was going through a hard time, I would pick up the phone to those guys, the folks that I made after that when I was more of the person that I became are those friends for me.
Hmm. I've got, I would say like, because Mike's 3 years older than me,
Uh,
and I'm more friends with like his group of friends.
yeah.
So like he's having his high school reunion coming up in August. 30 years? Isn't that
Wow.
crazy? I've known him since I was 13.
Yeah,
It's weird.
it's weird.
But like I know that I could like my they're a core
Yeah,
group. I love them all so much and it
yeah.
like makes me happy that they're all gonna get together. Um I wrote, if someone gifts you a pumpkin as a bong, that's cool. Smoke it. So, Andy, what's the weirdest thing you've ever smoked out of? Mine's a pumpkin. And it was not a small pumpkin, it was a big fucking pumpkin.
I think that probably nothing super weird, but like some really stupid things like we would take buckets every now and again. Do you know what a bucket is? Okay.
No?
So, okay. So you essentially take like a soda bottle, say like a 2 liter soda bottle, and you
Oh
kind of
yeah, yeah.
slice the bottom off,
Yep,
and you get a
yep,
bucket of
yep.
water, right? And you kind of light the thing, and you pull the thing up, and then you kind of like push it down into the water.
Do you know what it's called? We
What's it
call it a
called?
gra we call it a gravity bong.
Gravity bong. Ah, that's what
Yeah.
a gravity bong is. I've heard that
Uh-huh.
term. I
Uh-huh.
didn't realize that's what it was. We call it a bucket, right? It was just like some fucking Irish shit. Mainly because it would be done in a bucket. But we kept like going, well, what, how can we experiment with this? And we um got bigger and bigger balls. And you're like taking a 5 liter ball. 5 liters of smoke is too much. It's too much. It's a bad idea. It's a very bad idea. And then like also probably the worst thing I ever smoked was a blunt, using a cigar for
Hmm.
thing. And it was like,
Hmm.
why do like I still don't get cigars at all. But
I
also
don't either.
here's why that's such a bad idea is you're not supposed to inhale cigar smoke
No.
and you are supposed to inhale weed. So it's just a
Yeah.
fucking so you're inhaling cigar smoke and it's like searing your lungs and your throat. And you're like, what am I doing?
Yes.
Madness. So
Mike
yeah.
Mike and his friend made this is in college, they made a gravity bong using a toilet.
I love it.
That's one of the things I'm most impressed with about him.
Yeah, he's so inventive.
Just flush the toilet and it does the work for you.
One of my favorite things whenever you tell me about Mike was like he's an artist, his medium is fire.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
It's like, fuck yeah. I
Yeah,
love it.
I know. I said don't get a smartphone
Oh, that's a
or
good
wait
one.
as long as you can to get a
I
smartphone.
did, and I was one of the holdouts. Like I was like, took me
Were
so long
you?
because like I still hate the idea of people being able to contact me whenever, wherever.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
no, gross.
Yeah. No,
Yeah,
I was like an early adopter. I still have my original
nice. Well,
iPhone. Yeah. So at
uh,
some point it'll be worth $10
I
and
just say hello, $10. Well, a classic. No, that's a great piece of advice. I think they're the devil. I still think they're the devil. It's
I
why
do
mine
too.
is on do not
Yeah.
disturb at all times, always.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was like, what if people want to talk to you on the phone? Tough. I don't want to
Yeah.
talk to them.
No. No.
So
And
yeah,
that, yeah, that's a thing with newer generations. If like people, they don't know how to talk on the phone
no.
and they get anxious. And like that's me, honestly.
One of the reasons why I hated CBT so much was that like one of the last people I went to, CBT practitioners I went to, was like,
Mhm.
here's what we're gonna do. Here's how we're gonna deal with your social stuff. We're gonna get you to just call a friend randomly on the phone. And I'm like,
Oh my
no,
God.
I don't fucking want to do that under
None
any
of my friends
circumstances.
would be like,
Yeah, but what's
what
wrong? Are
the
you
fuck is
okay?
wrong?
Yes, yeah, yeah,
Yes.
exactly. That would be their first instinct. And then what? I'm supposed to just have a conversation with them after that? I don't think so.
Like
Rose?
I'm at this therapy thing, and they'd be like,
Yeah.
do you need me to come and get you?
Yeah, yes, please. Rescue
Do you
me
need
from
to
this
be rescued?
therapy. Fucking nuts.
Uh, I said read more because I have all
Oh,
these books on my bookshelf, like Farewell to Arms and Old Man,
yes.
and I need to read more Hemingway, and it's like sitting there staring at me,
Yeah.
and I just can't pick up the book. But if I'd read it like in my 20s, then I
You
would
have
have read
more,
it.
yes, you have more tolerance for that shit. I remember like
Yeah.
trying to read Crime and Punishment and stuff like that. Like I
Oh,
made it through 200 pages and was like, yeah, fuck this noise.
yeah. That's a
Uh,
lot. That's a
it
lot of
is. I think
effort.
I did quite well
Yeah.
considering, but it was just a
Yeah.
lot of like the guy feeling guilty about the shit that he'd done.
Mhm.
And I was like, I get it. The punishment is the guilt he's feeling, right?
Yes. Right.
Um, so yeah, but like I think that what like because I was such a fucking indoor kid, continue to be that. I was like reading books voraciously,
Mm.
but like that's
I
continued.
yeah. I read a lot until like college, basically, when you're supposed to actually be reading.
Yeah, and
But
you're
I
like,
was too busy like
fuck books.
living life, right? I was like, no,
Exactly.
I have a rave tonight.
Exactly. You're not even do read? I don't think so. Um, do you have any, sorry, would you have any others?
I don't think
Okay.
so. Yeah, I think I, like I looked at some other people's stuff and it was like the fresh pressure you feel to be perfect is the pressure you would put on yourself, let it go.
Yeah.
And like all that shit is like kitschy and I don't know.
Yeah,
Not real.
I hear you. I hear
Yeah.
you.
The
I
pumpkin bong, that is real,
We're real. That's something you'll take with you
right?
to the end.
Someone, I'm giving someone an idea.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Maybe you can
Ah,
try it with a turnip. I don't know.
I mean, that's true. Turnip bongs. Yeah, go for turnip
Turnip
bongs. All right.
bong.
If you're a real Bendy the podcast fan, you'll be taking turnip bongs.
That's right.
I think they'd be squidgy enough. No, that you can make it work. You can make it work. All right, nice. This is a good way to end things. So we get into our favorite section of each
Mhm,
episode, which is what's been
mhm.
bringing you joy this week.
One of my favorite things to do is to go to the dump. Have I told you this?
No.
Yeah. So Mike's like, hey, I got an appointment with the hazmat waste people. And I was like, he's like, do you want to go? And I was like, yes, I do. It's like here, well, they're different dumps. It's like where it's like a
Yes.
landfill. Okay. Some of them have an open pit, and
Yeah.
you have like a bulldozer that's like bulldozing all the garbage down into the pit, which is like that is one of my favorite things. I could just sit and watch that all day long.
Hmm.
Um, some of them you drive in and like you have to like put the metal with the metal and the greens with the greens and whatever and sort it yourself. And then there's the has waste, which is like batteries and like LCD
Yeah.
screens
Hmm.
and I don't know. I saw so so we went on Saturday. We had an appointment and it's free. And the guy in front of us had this little Toyota truck, and I swear to fucking God, it took them 30 minutes to unload all of the hazardous waste and Mike is like going off. He's like, he probably advertises on Craigslist that like people, pay him to take all their hazardous waste.
Yeah.
He had four giant LCD screens. He had I don't know, those like rolling cart things?
Yeah.
He probably had seven of those full of just like paint and random. Mike was like, that's ether. And I'm like, holy shit. Like, I'm like, how do you know that?
Yeah.
Anyways, it was great. And
So
I just love seeing how things work
have
and like knowing how, uh, you know, people
I,
work at the has waste.
I hear you. Like I've got a few things. Like I worked at a dump and as a summer job.
Did you really?
Yeah, it was
Was it amazing? I
not
mean, I know it
really.
smells bad, but
I
like,
did. It was like whenever I did it, it was one of the two things I did, which was one, it was when recycling was starting to come in and we were like
mhm.
on the recycling lines and we were just sorting stuff in. And this was a time when nobody gave a fucking shit. So you just like a recycling box, here's paper, and it'd be filled with like used nappy diapers. It'd be filled like used like just
Oh
it
my
was just
God.
disgusting. It was so
Oh my
horrifying.
God. Oh my
Um,
God.
so yeah, that was interesting. And also I spent a few days, or I think maybe a few weeks, actually on one of the dumps. I can't even remember what I was doing, but it was just like, I don't know, maybe stopping stuff flying away. Who the fuck knows? But it was grim and it was disgusting and yeah, interesting nevertheless.
Uh-huh.
Um,
Did you get to drive anything, like a forklift or anything?
no, sadly not.
Oh,
I
okay.
did another jobs later on, but not in that job. Um, Oh, yes, the other thing I was going to say to you was, so what's happened with dumps in the UK over the past few years is they've had like a rebrand and they're now called amenity sites. So like if you like search for like the dump in your most recent town, no results. You have to
Really?
remember what are they calling it now? Oh, amenity sites. Fucking those. So
That's
yeah,
weird.
right.
That's
So yeah.
weird.
Okay. My other one, or sorry,
Yeah.
my joy this week is that Severance Season 2 has been
Yes.
fantastic. We have
Yes.
the finale this week. I'm thrilled. It's been easily as good as season 1 and just such a wonderful show. And yeah, get Severance if you haven't already, folks. I mean, like,
Do you have a favorite episode?
I really enjoyed the episode where they went on the field trip so far, which was really cool.
Hmm.
And all the revelations and stuff that came from that, I thought that was like, just because like I really like it. Because like that show's great at like throwing you curveballs, and I just didn't
Yes.
expect them to ever take them outdoors anywhere. It was really cool.
Yes. Yes. I like the goat room.
Yes,
And I actually liked, there was the episode with Harmony Cobell, like
yes,
going back to the Lumen factory and like
yes. It was great too.
speaking of ether,
Yeah,
uh, that it just like that, because it didn't make sense in season one that she would like help Mark,
Yes,
and that gave a little bit more
it
backstory to
did. It
that.
did.
So it
So
made me
yeah,
happy.
excited to see where it goes. But yeah, great show.
Mhm.
Absolutely wonderful show. So yeah, that's what's been bringing me joy this week. So Beth, can you let everybody know where they can find
We
us?
are on the internet.
Ooh,
Did you know? Yeah, we are at bendypodcast.com,
fancy.
not
Um,
.au.com.
ooh, the real deal.
I know, right?
All right, folks. In that case, as always, we'd like to remind you to stay
Stay
fan.
bendy.
Oh, Beth's really going for it.
I
All
just
right.
couldn't stop. Sorry. I win.
Yeah.
All right.
Right,
Love you guys.
fine. We love you. Bye bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Nice.